That's great, thank you. Moving on to an environmental question now from Bill Ramsey. Um, Mini nuclear power stations, the small modular reactors, are being marketed by some as a contribution to the solution of climate change, to the extent where the EU has decided to subsidise both gas production and nuclear power stations. What's your view on this?
Yeah, you know, I sat at a meeting, it was a Zoom meeting, but the meeting that was coordinated by the FCDO, I think it was late November, early December. It was meant to be kind of preparing for the NPT review conference, and that's when they brought out their Global Britain. And it was just after COP26, and they actually boasted that they had the UK had the biggest stall promoting nuclear energy of any displayer in COP26, and they were proud of that. So small nuclear reactors, they have a number of problems. Every single small nuclear reactor is a nuclear bomb waiting to be attacked. You know, we've got cyber now where, you know, reactors can be taken over and use, but don't ever forget that still a small nuclear reactor can be bombed from the air or bombed by a conventional missile that flies below the level of radar in the event of a war situation. And if you bomb any nuclear power station or any nuclear reactor at all, you will get, at the very least, plutonium dispersal. And if you want to know what that's like, ask the Aboriginal people of Maralinga, because the UK did plutonium dispersal testing during the 1950s in Maralinga and destroyed the health of Aboriginal communities on their ancestral land, on a wide swathe of their lands. And that has never been cleaned up properly. This is why the treaty also has such important provisions, Articles 6 and 7, on the assistance to all the survivors and their descendants, and the remediation of environments that have been affected by nuclear use and testing. And in ICANN, we are absolutely pushing and saying it's got to be use, testing and production. We fought for that in the negotiations for a variety of reasons. That production didn't get put in the treaty for the remediation side, but because production is prohibited by the treaty, we can bring that in. That might seem like a digression, but it goes to this issue of small modular reactors, because back in the 1950s, Eisenhower brought out Atoms for Peace because the big mushroom clouds from the nuclear testing were putting people off nuclear technology altogether. It was a PR job. We do not need any kind of nuclear power station, small, large, or in between. The only thing that I would make a caveat around with this is the very, very small research reactors within universities and so on that make medical isotopes, for example, because those are very, very small indeed. And medical isotopes have a genuine role still in our health. But nuclear small modular reactors, or even new nuclear build that Boris is keen on, or that EDF from France are keen on, and Russia's keen on, and China's keen on, and India's fairly keen on, and all that pressure. This is just PR to try to get through the fact that the pressure is on to get rid of nuclear altogether, weapons and the very dangerous Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island creating, and Fukushima disastrous zones that have arisen when things go wrong with nuclear power plants. And an act of nuclear terrorism is still on the cards and is still usable against the small modular reactors. So just say no. It's not a solution. It's part of the danger. And and whenever you have those things as well, you're keeping the nuclear industry, or rather you're keeping the nuclear technologies ticking over. And that's why tackling fissile materials is so important to me. That's why I'm part of the international panel on fissile materials, so that we don't have nuclear fuel, you know, like take the AUKUS, you know, this Australia, US, UK thing. What we're offering Australia in that is a nuclear powered submarine along the lines of Dreadnought. That's what's being offered to a country that is a non-nuclear weapon state within the meaning, you know, within the description terms of the NPT. You start, and we're not talking even about low enriched uranium. This is enriched uranium that is highly dangerous and could in fact be used to make a pretty dirty nuclear bomb. Not an efficient one, a very dirty one, but a very destructive one nonetheless.